important question in your board exam. Sometimes they can give you 2 or 3 points and they will ask you to explain, or in section B it is asked as a full question of 6 marks. So there are many factors which are affecting elasticity. The first factor is availability of substitutes. If substitutes are available for any good, then demand for that good will be elastic in nature. And if no substitutes are available for that good, then demand will be inelastic in nature. Let us explain it with a very simple example, like public transport. If only buses are there as a public transport, then demand for buses will be inelastic in nature because people are having no other option. But if there are other services like Ola is there, autos are there, so if you want to go anywhere in your city, you are having many options. You can see nowadays the number of four-wheelers are increasing in your city. Similarly, two-wheelers are also increasing in your city. So there are many options. You can travel to any place by using any mode of these transport. So demand for bus will be elastic in nature because there are other options for a consumer. So if availability of substitutes are there, demand is elastic, and if no substitutes are there, demand will be inelastic. Like you can take example of Indian Railways. 10 years before, railways were having no other substitute because the airlines were charging too much higher price. So demand was inelastic in nature. But nowadays, if you compare the second class AC fare and your airfare, you will find out hardly there is a difference of 500 or 1000 rupees. So people love to travel by air. So demand is elastic in nature. Here you can explain it with the help of any example whichever you like. Second is postponement of consumption. Postponement of consumption means आप उस कमोडिटी को अभी नहीं खरीद रहे हैं, आप कुछ देर बाद, कुछ दिनों बाद उसको खरीद सकते हैं. Now ये कब संभव हो सकता है? सपोज आप मान लीजिए कि आपको एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एक टेक्स्ट बुक चाहिए क्योंकि आपके एग्जाम्स आ रहे हैं, तो डिमांड विल बी लेस इलास्टिक इन नेचर because you cannot postpone the consumption of that particular commodity. But where there is a possibility that you can postpone the consumption, then demand for that good will be elastic in nature. यहाँ आप एक एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हैं, जैसे आप एक टीवी खरीदना चाहते हैं. इस डिमांड को आप कुछ दिनों के लिए स्थगित कर सकते हैं. हो सकता है बाद में जब कोई अच्छा ऑफर है आप खरीद सकते हैं क्योंकि ये आपके लिए बहुत जरूरी नहीं है. सो इस केस में डिमांड विल बी इलास्टिक इन नेचर. सो इफ यू वांट टू कंक्लूड इट, postponement is possible, demand is elastic. If not possible, demand is inelastic. Third, income of the consumer. इनकम, आप यदि इनकम के नजरिए से देखें तो आप देखेंगे आप सोसाइटी को 3 ग्रुप्स में बांट सकते हैं. एक है लो इनकम ग्रुप, एक है मिडिल इनकम ग्रुप, high income. If you take the example of low income group and high income group, demand for good will be inelastic in nature, because if the commodity is not necessary, this group will not buy. For this group, any commodity, if they like it, price is not the matter. So demand is inelastic in nature. Whereas in case of middle income group, demand is elastic in nature. कोई भी चीज खरीदने के पहले हम ऑप्शंस देखते हैं कि कहाँ क्या ऑफर है, किस मार्केट में क्या रेट चल रहा है, हम दोस्तों से पूछते हैं, अपने रिलेटिव से पूछते हैं, देन वी डिसाइड that okay, we want to buy this commodity. So in case of middle income group, demand is elastic, and in case of low income group or high income group, demand is inelastic in nature. Fourth is habit of the consumer. Habit of the consumer is also affecting elasticity. जैसे आप एग्जाम्पल ले सकते हैं कि one person is very much addicted to any technological, any technical equipment or gadgets, then he is ready to pay any price. Price is not the matter, because throughout the day he wants something or other. So for him, demand for iPhone or any other modern gadget will be inelastic in nature. Take the example of the second person who is not addicted to all this. For him, phone is just to receive the call and to make a call. That's the use of a phone. Then demand is elastic in nature. Or you can take an example like some person is alcoholic. So demand for alcohol is inelastic in nature for him. He is ready to pay any price because he is addicted to that commodity. But the person who is not alcoholic, then demand for alcohol will be elastic in nature. So here it's very important whether the consumer is addicted to that commodity or not. If he is addicted, demand is inelastic in nature, like fast food. If you are addicted to fast food, you are ready to pay any price. So demand is inelastic in nature. But if you are not addicted, then demand is elastic in nature. So you can give any relevant examples for this. Next point is proportion of the budget. Proportion of the budget means आप अपनी इनकम का कितना पार्ट खर्चा कर रहे हैं उस कमोडिटी को खरीदने के लिए. जैसे एक सिंपल एग्जांपल है, जब आप मैच बॉक्स खरीदते हैं, आप हार्डली 4 या 5 रुपीस खर्च कर रहे हैं. पर जब आप एक बड़ी कमोडिटी लाइक आप कोई एक कार खरीद रहे हैं, आप कोई एक लैपटॉप खरीद रहे हैं, आप कोई डायमंड का नेकलेस खरीद रहे हैं, तो आप अपने बजट का एक बड़ा भाग खर्च कर रहे हैं. तो जब आप किसी भी कमोडिटी को खरीदने के लिए एक बहुत छोटा भाग अपनी इनकम का खर्च कर रहे हैं, तो डिमांड विल बी इनइलास्टिक. बट when you are spending a large part of your total income to buy that commodity, demand is elastic in nature. Like when you are buying a candle, hardly you are spending 10 rupees, which is nothing for you. So demand is inelastic. Even if the price goes to 50 or price falls to 7, your demand may be more or less it remain same. So here, when proportion of the budget means when you are spending a major part of your budget to buy that commodity, demand is elastic. And when you are spending minute part of your budget to buy that commodity, demand is inelastic in nature. Multi-purpose uses of the commodity. Here we are taking example of that good which can be used for multi-purpose uses. For example, milk. Milk can be used for making tea, coffee, ice creams, dahi, paneer and variety of other things. So if milk becomes cheaper, people will buy more of milk. So demand is elastic in nature. But if milk is costlier, people will be using it for important use like making tea, feeding the baby, or if some patient is there at home, he or she can consume milk. So here, if the commodity is having multi-purpose uses, then demand will be elastic in nature. But if the commodity is having single use, demand is inelastic in nature. So here you can see all the points you can explain with the help of day-to-day examples, whatever things you are using in your day-to-day life. Each point should be underlined properly, and in each point you should give one example. By doing this, you can get very good marks. They are not asking you to explain whatever things are written in the book. Only you have to learn the points. Explanation is yours. Example, you can give any relevant example. So, it is a 6 marks question if it is coming in section B, and for ICSE students it can be 7 or 8 marks question. If it is asked in section A, then they may ask you how postponement of consumption can affect elasticity. Means they will specify one particular point. So I think this video is useful for you. If you have any doubts, you can mail me or you can write it in my comment box. Thank you.